everyone, and welcome to the Boopcast number 18. For some reason, when I minimize Skype now, your thingies go black in the program, so they couldn't see you. We're so professional on this podcast. We are your hosts, SheNoob and...
Cory.
And this week we have a very special guest with us who's not been on the podcast before. We were supposed to have two guests, but somebody pulled out at the last minute, Indy.
Of course he did.
Course he did. So this week we have with us Stormy Kopa, the director of RWBY, the Abridged series. Hello. Director, creator, yeah. So if somebody watching doesn't know what RWBY, the Abridged series is, do you want to give us a brief explanation of what it is and what exactly you do?
Sure, yeah. RWBY Abridged is basically a comedy, a satire. You parody the characters, you try and adapt some of their more funny traits into the story and try and let that tell the story instead of whatever the show is focusing on. And usually it's funny if you denounce the actual plot of the show is boring or stupid and you insert something far more stupid instead. So that's an Abridged series.
It sounds a lot nastier than it actually is. It's actually a lot of fun.
No, it's mostly good jokes and, like, you know, we try not to be mean-spirited about it.
Yeah. Hello, Chozo and Piskian. Welcome. Chozo says RWBY Abridged series is his favourite. So there you go. Yeah, so RWBY the Abridged series, we'll talk about this first because it's been on a very, very long hiatus after episode 5 of chapter 1.
Yep. Yes,
Volume 1, Chapter 1.
Volume 1, yep.
Volume 1, Episode 5, and there's not been an episode since. Stormy, why is that?
A lot of things, personal things, mostly school, moving around, moving away from all my voice actors, bunch of complicated stuff, other projects. But my school is on strike right now, so I actually have a lot more time to work on it, and yeah, I'm working on it, at least hoping to have an episode done by the end of the year. I know Brody jokingly said that, you know, fills me with joy to have an entire episode done this year. I guess it's not really a joke, but...
No.
Yeah. So yeah, we are working on it, and I don't want to make any promises for release dates because, you know, what if I don't follow up on them?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You know, I've set a few deadlines before, they don't turn out well. We just want to do justice. That's something I guess I do want to say. We are working hard to make sure that when we do come back, we come back strong, and we want to make sure that it's worth the wait. We don't want to just have something of the quality we're not satisfied with, and we have admitted to not being completely satisfied with some of the past episodes, so we want to get a good, fresh, strong, worthwhile effort for the coming episodes, because we don't want to give it up. We want to
make sure that they're as good as they can be. Yeah, Monty said that art is never finished; it's just simply released. So, you know, at some point you got to put it out there. But even if it's not necessarily what you want. But Chozo said it's the one RWBY satire show he shows to his friends. There you go. Yes, there will be more episodes. There's just a number of factors that have gone into the huge delay. Like, you moved for college, didn't you, Stormy?
Yeah. And, several hours away.
Several people involved in the project have moved or started college, or there's various different things that have been going on. So, and there's a lot of internal stuff as well. Yeah. There's like over a dozen people involved in the project, so it's really hard to coordinate that many people across the entire world. No joke. So,
yeah. Everyone's from all over the world, like Europe and Australia, you know,
we got
America.
People from America, you're in Canada, it's people living in England and. It's a nightmare, especially with time zone differences, to coordinate that many people for one single project. So, and especially now, you have moved for college. You and Indy can't get together and write and write, so you have to do it all online.
I gotta edit myself now because my editor is hours away.
Yes.
I got a script,
Brandon,
record, mix, voice act.
Yes.
And even do music for it. I am working on music for the Abridged series too.
Yeah, he's writing his own music.
So yeah, I've got like 5-6 jobs for trying to get this together, and trying to coordinate all that on top of having everyone in the same place is probably virtually impossible, and at least it has been for the last 2 years, which is how long it's been on break, and I do feel pretty bad about that, not gonna lie.
Well, yes, Chozo, there will be more, we promise. They're coming, just don't know when. Not gonna make any promises, but there will
Thank you for your patience.
Yes. Oh my gosh, thank you everyone for your patience.
You're all amazingly patient. More than we deserve.
Yeah. I'm holding out hope that I will get to Voice Velvet one of these days.
We'll get you on there, Beck.
We'll eventually get in
I promise.
there.
If it kills me, it will happen.
I've been on the cast list for 3 years and haven't done a minute of voice
Yep,
acting.
and thank you very much for your patience too. I can't just be thanking the viewers. I gotta thank you and all my other voice actors that I've been putting on the list for ages. You guys have been amazingly understanding, so that's very appreciated.
You know, we'll get there eventually. Piskian says he'll be sure to watch it when it happens. Yes, keep your eyes out. Don't unsubscribe because it is coming. Eventually.
Thanks for continuing to subscribe. I'm very grateful that people are still subscribing and excited to see more content.
Yes. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about Chapter 3, Unforeseen Complications. Yeah. Was anybody else shitting themselves going into this episode? Because I certainly was.
You were so anxious.
I was so anxious I couldn't sleep. I had a stress dream about RWBY the night before. I woke up so early. My hands were shaking. I was sitting here doing my reaction. I was like, my heart's racing. Like, I cannot take the stress. I was convinced that something terrible was going to happen to Gira. I was convinced.
Yeah. You sent me that Snapchat at it was 4:30 in the morning your time, I think.
I was like,
you were like, I'm so nervous. And I'd seen the episode at that point, so I almost felt like telling you it's not as bad as you think, but I was like, nope.
I would have murdered you if you'd said that.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It wasn't just you. I actually thought there was a 60-40 odds that someone's gonna try and kill him maybe, or something was gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Ilya's words were very foreboding.
Yes.
We were all shitting ourselves
And you could tell that there were people in the crowd who were convinced, because when Gira said, we have to stand with the humans, everyone was like, because up until that.
Do we though? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
so up until that point, they were all pretty together, and then when he said that, they were just like, I don't know,
Yeah. And then when Ilya was talking, there were a few faunists in the crowd who were nodding their heads, and clearly this isn't going to be as easy as Gira thought it would be, but. The whole time I was watching him standing up there doing his speech, I was just expecting an arrow to just lodge in the middle of his bloody fluff in his chest.
That's his open chest, right?
I know, right? I was when's it gonna happen? I know it's coming, and then it didn't happen.
Can't you be wearing? It's why can't you be wearing more armor? You should be wearing more armor right now.
Protect your vitals, man! Look at what happened to Kira!
Have some guards.
Not sorry. Yeah, so, and then when the scene ended, I was just like, I can breathe.
I had that feeling too, but then I was also like, that's it? Wait, where's more?
Me too. I was like, well, that was slightly underwhelming and totally not what I was expecting to happen, but, the show's been doing a lot of that lately, so, the thing I found interesting at the start of the scene is that Gira wears glasses. This makes me laugh because being a faunus is supposed to have excellent night vision, and he's a cat faunus, no less, so why does he need glasses? It's so funny to me. Yeah, because, cats have excellent eyesight, so you don't see a freaking cat walking around wearing glasses. It's just so funny to me. I
also thought it was a nice touch that his the papers he was holding actually had his speech on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it wasn't random scribbles. In Volume 1, you would have just seen random scribbles.
There were words! Yes, I know. It was so exciting.
He circled important things like Adam's name, and, underlines emphasis. It wasn't just random like scribbly lines like it would have been in Volume 1.
Exactly. It's a tiny detail, but it's an exciting detail because it's, you know, that they're devoting the time to those kinds of details is a really, really good.
That's important. That was a big pet peeve for early volumes because they were just like, you could have colored the backgrounds a little more. Like even stuff like people nodding in agreement with Ilya when she was saying all those things. And you know, they might not have done that. They would have just been silhouettes in Volume 1, actually.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. They wouldn't have even, like, there would have just been a chunk of crowd. Just a black chunk of crowd.
Yeah.
The show has come
that was
so
actually
far.
that was the topic of this week's RWBY episode.
Yes, it
which
was
interesting.
about the crowds, yeah. We'll get to that at the end. But the thing that cemented my fears about the scene was the moment when Carly and Blake come over and give Gira that kind of sideways hug. I was like, fuck.
I know.
What is about
Me
to happen to
Gira? But whenever you see that.
Yeah, and like the fact that he was in the thumbnail and the title was Unforeseen Complications, I was like, Gira's dead. That's it. Goodbye, Gira. Yep. Roll out the funeral wagon. He's fucking dead. But again, they did the opposite of what I was expecting them to do. God damn this show. Because then, like, when they actually kill somebody, I won't be ready for it. Like, I wasn't ready for Sienna Khan's death, and that scares me.
Me neither.
I wasn't expecting it, and like, I
thought for sure, Adam would be civilized at least, you know? He'd be outspoken, but at least respectful. I thought that was how it was going to go.
Apparently not. Apparently he's just utterly a psychopath. So, you know, that's good.
Yeah.
Even the other guy was like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah. Everyone else, Hazel was like, what the fuck was that? Like, what are you doing?
Why'd you do that?
Yeah, we spoke in depth about Hazel last podcast. He's very interesting. There was a nice moment between Gira and Sun here where Sun put his hand on his shoulder and said, you got this. And Gira, for once, didn't say, I really don't like you. So.
Yeah, I was expecting a, I really don't like you.
I was expecting it, I was like, is he going to say it? Oh, he didn't. Okay, cool.
I thought Sun sounded really strange though when he said it.
I did as well.
Like he didn't sound like Michael. Like he didn't sound like Sun either. It was just like, what just came out of your face?
I know. That line was delivered really interestingly, I thought. I agree, it didn't sound like Sun or Michael, which is weird. I'm not sure why it was delivered that way, or if, like, because, you know, they record all their lines at the same time, so it could be just a matter of he hasn't voiced the character in a while, and it was only his second line in the volume, but even then, in the first chapter, his line sounded just, you know, as he normally would, so I'm not sure what the delivery of that line's about, but, you know, yeah, I find that a lot with some lines. I'm like, that was delivered really weirdly. Why did they opt to go with that option? But, you know. The reporters in the crowd I found really interesting. Like, what did their tags say? Media? Did they say media?
I think they said press.
Press, that's right. Because they call them press over there. But, they were using their scrolls to record Gira's speech, which I thought was interesting. There's no, like, huge camera rigs. You know, everybody carries their scroll around. It's just like a smartphone, basically. Everyone has these. Yeah. Everyone's got a camera on them at all times. So, and we know that the scrolls are technologically quite advanced, and they probably, you know, are live streaming what they're recording to their various news stations that they work for, and not all of the reporters were Faunus either, I noticed.
Yeah, I noticed that there were humans in there too, and I was like, what the...
Yeah, so I'm guessing, like, reporters from Vale and Mistral and Vacuo are most likely coming over to record the event, because, you know, like they would in real life. Reporters fly everywhere all the time, so... Gira's an excellent public speaker, is what we discovered in this.
Yeah.
So we can understand why he was first the leader of the White Fang and then High Chieftain of Menagerie. He's very good at inspiring a crowd, even if the crowd is extremely reluctant. He almost got there. It was nearly. It was good effort.
But I bet there's a number of people who weren't so certain but heard him, and then they decided, okay, you know, I could give this a chance. You know, there probably were some of those in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think, as Piskian kind of said in the chat right now, is he had them until he suggested they defend Haven. And I don't think that had really, well, it probably had some to do with the fact that, oh, let's go defend this human settlement. But I think it also had to do with the fact that he was asking civilians. Like, I don't think like combat training or aura training or anything like that is common practice and just general schooling in Remnant. So it's like, why is he asking these civilians to go defend a school, like a kingdom?
I think he might just be talking about their forces, and the civilians might not be so on board for that because they have loved ones serving in the forces, and they're like, well, do we really want to maybe not see them again for this cause? I think that's more what it was. It's kind of like how in real life we could feel if our national leaders declare war, and it's like, well, that kind of sounds like bad news,
Yeah. Piskian says he didn't expect to see Weiss's chapter, neither did we. And he also says, did you notice the fish faunus in the crowd? Yes, I did notice there was a faunus with fins of some description in the crowd. So they've talked for a long time about there being marine faunus, so it's nice to finally see that, even if it's just a person in the crowd. So Gira talks about, on Ilya's scroll, they discovered Adam's plans to overthrow Sienna Khan, and he's talking about that, and I'm like, you are so out of the loop. Like, it's already happened. Sienna's dead. Adam's in charge. You guys are so out of the fucking loop. Yeah, and that's a little frustrating because with communication down across Remnant, it's taking ages for information to get anywhere. So of course, naturally, they haven't heard about what's going on yet. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do when they do hear. And he mentioned that the attack on Haven Academy was planned for the last full moon before the fall semester, which was roughly 2 months from that day. So, I am still of the mind that this Haven arc is going to wrap up by the end of Volume 5. With that information.
Probably is, yeah. I feel like the team's going to be back together,
Yes, please.
And they had to get them back together. People were too frustrated last volume.
It's been too long.
They're on their way.
Yeah, they're on their way. Yeah, so we talked about the crowd not being willing to protect Haven. I'm annoyed because Blake was about to get up and tell her story, and that absolutely would have swayed the crowd.
Exactly. Like the human girl who came to her defense against the leader of the White Fang. It would have been so good.
Even if she just told about Team RWBY, like how they accepted her when they learned that she was a Faunus. Even Weiss, who really didn't like Faunus, was like, I don't really care, just be honest with me. And so even if like she told about, all these humans that stood up for her and protected, even Yang took a fucking arm for her, man. And, her story absolutely would have convinced the crowd, so I'm pissed off she didn't get to tell it, but, they did.
And that's why I think Ilya chose that moment, is because she was like, shit, I'll lose the crowd with this.
Yes,
he's already losing the crowd, I need to take it now,
And Ilya's outburst absolutely wasn't what I expected to happen at all. I was expecting blood and tears and violence.
Yep.
I was not expecting Ilya to be like, me, the belladonnas, me. So I was like, okay, this is a thing that's happening. The way she spoke to Blake in Chapter 1 made it sound like a lot more ominous than what it actually was. And they do that on purpose. Because they want us to
Watch
panic.
out, Blake.
They want us to be afraid.
I'll yell at your dad.
Yeah.
I don't
leave Menagerie or I will shout at you. Exactly.
I will insult your family, so there.
But we haven't seen the fallout of that yet.
No, we haven't seen
the thing
fallout.
Yeah. And, clearly based on the way that Finnick and Corsic looked, like, they're like, it was almost like they were like, okay, phase 1 is complete, on to phase 2.
I really hate those fucking wolf twins, like, seriously.
I know.
Those guys are just there, and they're just, like, lurking and listening. They're just, like, snickering to themselves or whatever.
Yeah. I'm gonna be happy to watch those two die if that ever happens. They're the snakes in the grass that, like, I really just don't care about, and I really just want them to be gone. kind of like Raven. So at least she's a tad more interesting than those two, though. So we also got confirmation of Ilya's parents' death in that dust mine explosion she spoke about in the Blake short. Yep. So yeah, her parents were killed in that dust mine explosion. And
of course, it was a.
Yeah.
Of course, it was one of those, you know. My parents dead, therefore I'm justified in being a terrorist, you know.
Exactly. Oh, so frustrating and cliched. Yep. But you know. My biggest question now is, whoa! Which dog is that? Which one was that now?
That was mine. My bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, my biggest question now is, what is Ilya's deal exactly? What is her deal? What does she want? Why is she following Adam? I have so many questions about Ilya. What's her purpose in the story? What's going to happen moving forward? You know, I'm just like, why? Why does she
agree with Adam and the fact that he killed, like, stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
But it's good that we have these questions. It means the characters are interesting.
It's very true.
And that's why it was so frustrating when that scene ended, because it's like, I want to know more.
Yeah, I felt that a lot so far this volume. Like, I have so many questions. But then, getting to the next scene, a lot of questions we've all had for a long time were finally answered. So, first thing I noticed about the scene is no more Drunkle Crow, which makes me sad. But apparently coffee sobers him right up. You know, whatever.
Yeah, Drunk Crow was great.
Yeah, the animation in this scene, not only was it excellent, but it was really cute and really anime-esque, which I miss about this show, especially in Volume 4. There was very lack of that sort of cute animation. Ruby's little giggle when she looks at Oscar was the most adorable thing ever, and I almost died. And yeah, I feel like they're nodding at the Rose Garden fandom there by doing that little moment between Ruby and Oscar, because so many people ship it, it's not funny. And
I know, but they've also, I mean, the way they've talked before about the ship, they've basically killed it, kind of by going like, there's kind of an age difference there, guys, like.
Yeah, by a few thousand years.
And there's like, he's technically Ozpin, and that's weird, you know, like.
Yeah,
that's really
exactly,
weird.
Yeah. The Ozpin you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I like that Ruby's line here she said, "We've never met a person with two souls." And they were foreshadowing this right back in Volume 1, Episode 3, when Blake talks about the book she's reading. It's about a man with two souls, each fighting for control over his body. And the fact that Monty was foreshadowing this shit way back then blows my mind. I'm like, that is foreshadowing at Oscar's character. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like,
it's been planning for years.
Yeah, exactly. And there's
well, I mean, it's technically foreshadowing Ozpin's.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing.
That's the thing, though, is Ozpin... That's the thing that makes me wonder is, Ozpin must have had two souls himself, then. But then, like... Or does it just become a certain point where they fuse?
I think so. I feel like over a certain amount of time, they just become one person. Yeah.
Or does it just become that once they know enough, the old soul just kind of goes, okay, bye.
Yeah. We don't know enough about this reincarnation process yet, but it's very early stages, and we're going to get to see it develop over time, so...
it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, that's an idea that I think is really interesting, if Ozpin sort of mentors Oscar into becoming his successor, but he doesn't tell him that at the end of it he has to go away. And then Oscar is really emotional about this when it does happen. I don't know, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, like he's gonna miss him. Yeah.
And like, Osman deliberately doesn't tell him because he's like, I can't, there's nothing we can do about it, and, it's just easier to spare you. So that sort of thing,
Exactly.
That'd be cool.
It's like the typical, it's really weird when he does get this other voice in his head and he can't really cope with it. But then by the time Ozpin's probably going to have to leave, he's going to be like, but I'm going to miss you, Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
Of him, yeah. So...
Yeah.
The animation when Ruby said first times all around was really cute and subtle and just really well done. She sort of kind of moves her legs and her shoulders, and it's really good. The subtle animations in the volume so far have just been really on point. The characters feel so much more human with the way that they move and their expressions.
Yeah,
and everything.
They look and act and
exactly.
They actually have like proper expressions.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
Ozpin takes control of Oscar's body, and so essentially he is physically still there. His voice, his thoughts, his memories, the way he moves, the way he speaks. So there's muscle memory there that's being translated to Oscar, but Oscar just needs to do some work to sort of unlock it. When Ozpin was telling his story here, Crow gets up and leaves the room, and I was like, where's Crow going? And then a moment later, he subtly just comes back in and hands Ozpin hot chocolate and then goes back and sits down. I was like, that is some excellent animation right there. It was so subtle and felt so real, and like...
They didn't dress it.
Yeah, exactly. And he was gone from the room for an appropriate amount of time. He didn't come straight back. And he just sort of hands him the mug and then goes back and sits down. It doesn't interrupt Ozpin's story at all. I'm like, that feels so real to me. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. Like, sorry if I keep using the early volumes as comparisons, but like, whenever in the early volumes whenever they make something happen, even something of a really minor detail, that would be like the only thing that's happening in an entirely static scene, and you're just like watching it, you're just like, okay, so that was the thing, and you just keep watching what's next, but like, they learned not to do that now, so that's really cool. You know?
Now they've evolved to putting these subtle little things into scenes to making the scenes feel so much more real. They just...
Yeah, it's more natural.
Yeah, it's so natural. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. It's very natural, yes. And I just, like, that just tickled me the right way when I saw that. I was like, oh, that's just...
Yeah. It's another small thing, but it's
a small thing,
nice to see.
It's a big thing, at the same time.
Yeah, and it counts for a lot.
It does.
It's what it stands for.
Yeah, it's not wasted effort, that's for sure.
Exactly.
So we finally got some answers to some massive questions we've had since the beginning of the goddamn show. Ozpin is cursed. He's cursed with this reincarnation thing, and he says it's because he failed.
He forgot
his keys, you know.
My apologies, I was busy.
He failed.
He overslept.
He got so busy running the academy.
Yeah. It's because he failed to stop Salem in the past, and the gods bestowed this curse on him. The gods he's talking about are the gods of light and darkness. So he failed to stop Salem in the past. So Salem is as old as he is, or as old as his consciousness is. So we have some confirmation there that Salem is ancient. Like, we're talking beginning of time ancient here.
I believe it.
The thing that raises a question for me is that means that Salem succeeded once.
Yeah, that's what I was
I'm like...
history's already repeating itself. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm just like... Oh my god, wait, Salem created the Grimm, didn't she? And that was the failure that he's been trying to correct this whole time.
Yeah, that's entirely possible, yeah. It's more than likely.
Although
and, you know, for...
Go ahead.
For, I guess, Remnant being in the state it's in, and for, I guess, why the moon is all splintered and stuff, maybe stuff like that, it's, you know, something to do with her.
That's a good
Childish speculation, but, yeah.
That's a good
If she's been around for ages, she probably left her mark on... Remnant, right? Yes. She probably left a mark on history.
The moon is a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about bringing the moon into that.
Well, I thought about this was when Gira was talking about the scroll, Ilya's scroll. He said that they're going to attack on the last full moon of summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, the full moon. They mentioned full moon. That's an important detail. I'm wondering if there's something to do with, like, Salem has more power, or the Grimm are stronger, or maybe that's the only time that they can awaken these dragons, or whatever. Like, I'm like, the full moon, that was a detail that was important.
Yes. So, yeah, the moon could well have something to do with this failure. Whatever Salem did in the past could have scarred the moon. And, like, we have seen over the volumes that it is continuing to break up. It's more broken up now than it was at the beginning of Volume 1. So it's definitely a detail we've noticed. It would be nice to get some fucking answers about the goddamn moon, but, you know.
We've been seeing it since the first episode.
Yeah, we've all been going, what's up with the moon for 5 years?
Yeah, why does it look like that?
Nothing.
We've been going, what's up with the moon for almost 6 years, because
that's true. Yeah.
Monty mentioned it right in Red trailer time. Like he said, like the moon's important. The first
thing we saw in the Red trailer was the frickin' moon, yo.
And so first things we saw in Volume Episode 1, it keeps coming back.
It keeps coming back, and we keep getting nothing. And they're gonna hold that out as long as they need to, because they're pricks.
They've held out Jean's semblance for 5 seasons. Like
I actually have a very interesting theory on that, and I don't know if this is an original one. For all I know, maybe half the fan base has already thought of this, but I'm not really in touch with them, so... I'm thinking, like, Jean's semblance is gonna look like, or be like some kind of spiritual form of Pyrrha, or something.
This is a huge subject on Tumblr right
okay.
now.
I had this weird dream one time. I can't remember how it goes because it was so long ago. But basically, he just brings out a semblance, and it was when she unlocked his semblance a little at first that she puts like a piece of her spirit into it or something. And I'm thinking that has something to do with it. But I don't know if a lot of people have already drawn that conclusion.
I feel like definitely the fact that Pyrrha unlocked Jean's aura with her own gives them some kind of spiritual aura bond of some description, and that is going
I really hope so.
Yeah,
I really hope so.
A lot of people have speculated that his semblance will be something similar to Pyrrha's, or even the opposite of what Pyrrha's was. Which I don't know what the opposite of magnetism really is. What would be the opposite of magnetism? Yeah, some kind of repulsion.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I'm pretty sure that they said this on the Volume 1 director's commentary, that what happened between Jean and Carden when Carden punched him in the face, that was Jean's semblance. That whatever happened in that flash of light was his semblance.
Yeah.
But we don't get to see
what that is. No. But yeah, they...
So repulsion could well be a good theory for that, because when Carden punched him, he recoiled his hand back and it hurt him. So it was some kind of shield activating. Yeah,
but then also his aura then healed the cut on his face. So maybe it's some kind of, I don't know, like super aura. I don't know. I just wish they would tell us, because I'm kind of at the point where I'm beginning to care less. I'm just like, just tell us. You're going to tell us eventually, just tell us. I don't care anymore.
So, and the other thing I wanted to mention about Ozpin is that we've been theorizing for a while that he could possibly be the wizard in the story of the Four Maidens, but now I don't think that that's necessarily the case with this new information. It could still be the case, but now I'm thinking, I'm leaning more towards maybe not. So the old man that gave the maidens their powers, I've been thinking for a while that was Ozpin, but now with this new information about this curse and this thing that happened with Salem in the past, I'm leaning more towards that's probably not what's going on.
I don't know. I still think it's plausible because there's... I don't want to get... It goes into kind of a bigger theory of mine, but... Basically, like, the Huntsman Academies are only 80 years old, and Maidens are definitely way older than that.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a thing where it's like, why wouldn't he, if he was the wizard and, like, he made these schools eventually and to house the relics and then use these Maidens to protect the relics. I don't know, it just kind of feels like it would all line up in, like, his little bits of things he can do to try and stop Salem.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think it's possible, but I am also a little bit kind of like, ooh, maybe not.
Yeah.
After this episode.
So we saw Weiss's chapter, which we didn't expect. I was thinking we would see Yang, but I guess Yang will definitely crop up next chapter now, I think. Especially with Weiss's current situation. So speaking of Weiss's current situation, the Spring Maiden has revealed herself quite early on in the volume, I have to say.
Well, we don't know if she's the Spring Maiden, but I mean, who else is she?
She is.
She is.
And her name is Vanal, if anybody caught that. And she's got Mertnaster. And I'm like, did you get your
that scene confused. That scene confused me so much because she walked out holding that, and my first thought was, "Oh my god, she uses a dust rapier too." And then I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so stupid. It's Weiss's. Weiss is right there, you idiot."
Yeah, Weiss got captured. They took away her weapon.
Yeah. So. And Weiss's expression when she saw that Vanal was playing with a Mertnaster was kind of like how I was feeling. I was like, bitch, you don't touch Mertnaster. And Weiss gets a very unfortunate revelation in this scene that I didn't actually realize, is that Winter's not in Mistral, because Ironwood closed the Atlas borders and recalled his military. And I was like, oh crap, I didn't even realize that would... Oh,
that's definitely...
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does make perfect sense. And I'm annoyed that I didn't realize it sooner. I was like, oh, well, shit. Also, now I'm like, well, Winter was in Weiss's short. How the fuck is she going to fit into this volume now? I'm so confused. Like, I was confused last chapter. I'm even more confused now.
I know. I think that, I mean, clearly Winter had some, I mean, she's special forces. So I'm like, who's to say that, and she has a personal relationship with Ironwood, who's to say that Ironwood wouldn't leave her there as just I'm recalling everyone else, but you're here to, you
could have
keep an eye on this.
It's true.
But then it's also like, but Winter is a known, Atlas Special Forces person, and with the Mistral Council, like, if they got word of her being there, would it be good? And I don't know.
Yeah. And Vanal tells Weiss no one is coming to rescue you. And I was like, that's not exactly true, bitch. We still have a certain yellow-haired, motorcycle-riding, one-armed chick who's currently on the way. So, that whole dynamic is going to be really interesting because it's the last reunion I expected to happen first. So... Yeah,
they're not the... Yeah. Weiss and Yang are not the closest, but I think that's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Possibly. They still need to address that.
To shift the dynamic. Yeah, that's what they're doing it. Yeah.
I think everyone else is fairly close already on Team RWBY. Even Ruby and Blake. I'd say like everyone is closer to one another than Yang and Weiss. They're like the last pair that need to be more...
In Volume 3, Chapter 5, Weiss and Yang did fight the second round together, and Weiss
I felt like that was
got burnt to a crisp. So there was that moment between them there that kind of shows, okay, yeah, they are friends, but like, they're the last pair that you would expect to sort of have this big reunion before anybody else.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really interesting, and I've seen a lot of speculation on the internet about how this is going to play out, and some people are wondering if like Yang will rock up in the camp and see Weiss straight away. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to keep the focus on Yang and Raven to begin with, and Weiss is going to pop up at some point. But the other question is, Weiss actually is... at the end of this episode, she's trying to escape. So my question is, how far is she going to get? Because in order for her to meet up with Yang, she's got to stay exactly where she is. So, I'm wondering what's going to happen with that next time we see her. Probably not next week, probably the week after. But,
I don't know. I don't think she's going to make it far because she doesn't have her weapon. Vernal has her weapon from what we've seen. And, all she's got is her glyphs and her knight. But what can that do for her?
Yeah, exactly. What will she
if she wants anything, if she wants to do anything, she's got to get Mertnaster, but she's not going to get past Vernal because I feel like that's how they will confirm to us that she's the Spring Maiden is in that moment, maybe.
I think the name already gives it away, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, that too, but...
I mean,
they gotta do something big for the stupid people.
Yeah.
That's true. So yeah, we had another scene with Osmond here, and right at the start of this, Nora's animation was so good and so adorable, and I love the way Osmond says, "Please don't call me that." Like,
cute little boy Osmond.
Cute little boy Osmond. Yeah, exactly.
It's good to see Nora like smiling and happy again. She's been kind of like down throughout. Like they've all been in Volume 4, but you know, like for Team Juniper, like losing one of their teammates, one of their closest friends, you know, it was hard, and like they're out there alone and terrified and like kind of hopeless. So it was just good to see, you know, everyone's in better spirits now. You know?
Yeah, and then they went back to a really traumatizing place as well. Like that wasn't good for them.
No, exactly. I mean, it was good in a sense that they finally got to defeat that past demon, literally.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's good to see them sort of more or less back to their old selves. It almost feels like throughout Volume 4 they were sort of putting on a happy face. Except Jean. I mean, Jean's never going to be the same.
Not until he murders Cinder, and that's
no.
Well, you know, they say revenge doesn't really solve anything, but you know.
True.
I don't want Jean to go up against Cinder because he will die.
I mean, yes, exactly.
If Pyrrha couldn't beat her, Jean's he's got no hope.
Yeah. Pyrrha was the most powerful out of the 8 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She was easily the best, and she couldn't do it. So
she put up a good fight, and she still lost.
Oh yeah, she did. And she bought them time, but and she like. I have to stress that Pyrrha's sacrifice wasn't in vain because Ruby was able to unlock her power and stop the dragon and stop Cinder momentarily. And that was the reason for Pyrrha's death, essentially, was so that Ruby could become what she was supposed to be. So her death wasn't meaningless.
I like that. I can't remember if it was this episode or the previous ones because I did watch one of the previous ones earlier, but when Salem was explaining what happened to Tyrion, she was just like, it was just like, what happened? It was like, yes. And it was funny because some time ago I read a comment either on YouTube or on roosterteeth.com where one of the top voted comments was Salem's not gonna like that her employees keep getting maimed by the same girl. So it's a pretty funny observation.
No kidding. Ruby's putting her badass boots on finally, so...
I hope that the thing that Ruby removes from Watts is the mustache.
Please, get rid of it.
Watts, yeah. And speaking of things that Ruby... Well, things that were finally addressed, Osmond just straight up calls out Ruby in this episode on not being a good fighter without her weapon, which I'm so glad for because you see it so many times throughout the previous volumes. Like every time she just gets her ass kicked without her, without Crescent Rose.
Yeah, and it was brought up again in the Yang Short as well. So
yeah, but I kind of didn't like that they brought it up in this thing because I was like, what was the point of the Yang Short then? Because, like, the Yang Short brought that up, that, you know, she can't fight without her weapon, but then if you immediately, 3 episodes into the volume, say, hey, why can't you fight without, you know, why can't you do hand-to-hand combat, it just kind of feels a little bit like, what was the point of the Yang Short, kind of?
The point of the Yang Short was to show us that Yang actually did try to teach her, but she was hopeless. So, like, yeah, you know, it's just the thing that she's never learned, but she's gonna have to. Got no choice.
Yeah.
Osmond says learn it, so learn it.
Glad for that. I'm glad she's gonna learn.
Yeah, please learn, for God's sake. She's absolutely useless without Crescent Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's painful to watch her try and fight without weapons.
She can't even throw a decent punch. Like, come on.
Yeah, remember that time Volume 2 when she fell into the fissure and she didn't have her weapon and like she like tries to punch one of the guards and the guards just looks at like, what are you doing? Just
bitch, please whack.
Socks her.
Oh, ridiculous.
And she's got such a good semblance too that she could use with like you know punching.
Exactly, yeah.
But she's just hopeless.
I'm glad they're bringing that out. Yeah.
So yeah, Ozpin was talking about their meeting with Leonardo here, and he's clearly not stupid. He knows that something's up. Like Leo's acting shady, disobeying orders that were left behind. You know, he's like, yeah, something's not right. Let's not bring this to Leo just yet, because he knows that something's up. He doesn't necessarily want to believe.
I swear. I would have been so annoyed if they just marched Oscar to him, like, completely oblivious.
Oh, no.
Glad someone at least is ahead of the curve.
Thankfully, they're not fucking stupid. Yeah, exactly.
Well, thankfully, Ozpin's not stupid.
Exactly. Well,
or Crow.
Yeah, I feel like Crow had his own suspicions, but, you know.
But he still told him about the Spring Maiden, which I think was a mistake.
Dumb. That was dumb. I don't know.
Yeah, but, like, he kind of had that conversation with him, and then he observed him, and then he, I think, told Ozpin, like, there's something not right with him.
Something's not right,
you know? Yeah, like, he told him enough, but he also, at the same time, knows that Leo's not going to get to Raven's camp easily without a fight or without a hell lot of trouble. So he's just like, well, here's the information. And I guess here's something that kind of could be a stretch. He might be trying to lure out Salem. Last time if I remember correctly, that is part of Crow's task. He's trying to gather more information on their enemies, and that was between him and Ozpin, right? So maybe he told him enough, but at the same time, he observed his reactions to see how he's going to deal with it. And maybe when Leo said, I don't know if we should be doing this right away, Crow was like, you know? So that could have been part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Crow immediately knew something was wrong when he was like, okay, there's no teachers here. Why aren't you protecting the relic and stuff? Like, he immediately knew something was wrong, which is why I was then like, okay, but why are you then giving him a crucial piece of information that will help him, that, you know, if he is being shady and weird, like, that will help him get the relic out, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, right now, the best place is for the relic is in its thing.
Yeah. I feel like they're gonna try and beat him to the punch now.
Yeah, here's the thing. If they do that, then Raven is gonna want Crow's help or someone's help, and maybe Crow's banking on that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, he's thinking, this is a sort of make and break sort of point. I'm gonna pose this scenario. I'm gonna present this information about the Spring Maiden to Leo. And if he doesn't react how I think he would react in a normal situation, then something is definitely up. So it's just like, if it's this important and he's not willing to act, then something is definitely wrong. And now, I'm guessing, like Crow was guessing, they're gonna try and beat him to the Spring Maiden, which means Raven is now either gonna stand with her back to the corner or ask him for help. So. Again, speculation entirely on my part.
Come crying to her brother like, help me. They're beating up my people and destroying my camp. They're taking away my Spring Maiden. I hate Raven so much. Because
Raven is powerful, but her numbers are limited. She doesn't stand a chance against Salem, so that's the thing. You know?
No.
So yeah, like Crow would be completing both his tasks. He'd be drawing out their enemies, and he'd be getting Raven right where he wants her. Because he knows how she operates, and he knows he has to be kind of ruthless with her in a way without being directly responsible for any bloodshed on her part. It's clever, actually, if you kind of think about it, right?
I mean, if we think about Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury, even years before all of these events, were able to kill a maiden almost on their own. And so, like, Spring, while she is powerful, she has her limit, just like anyone else does. And she still has an aura, and that aura can be broken. So, I feel like they want to avoid killing her if at all possible, but because they need her. But they absolutely could do that if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't understand is, like, I mean, I know they run the risk of then they have to find the Spring Maiden, but I don't understand why it's like, okay, like, Salem's moving on Haven. If you just kill Spring, she can't have it.
Yeah.
Like, she can't have the relic.
Exactly.
Like, she'll have to wait and hunt down this new person, and you'll have to as well, but, like, you buy yourself more time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can totally see Crow doing that if necessary.
Yes, I could as well. So Ozpin's a complete show-off, as we see in this scene, with all that jumping around and spinning his bloody cane around like, oh, I was the head.
Pointing at people.
Was I not? Meh. Like, Jesus, okay, we get it, man. You're powerful. We saw at the end of Volume 3. Their faces when that happens, especially Nora's face. Nora's face. She's like, are you kidding me right now? Fucking
yeah, she looks so unimpressed. She's just like, really?
She's like, really? And,
I'm sure she's probably actually like, hey, that's my thing.
Yeah, so we're going to get to see a little bit more of Ozpin in action through Oscar. So that's going to be weird but interesting. And Oscar himself is obviously a complete mess, so that will also be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like you're trading through someone while also trading them.
Yeah. So it's gonna be very interesting to watch. Yes.
And then like Osmond's gonna like really push the students, and they're gonna be like, "Stop being so mean to me," and Oscar's gonna be like, "What did I do?"
Yeah. I feel like Osmond's gonna get frustrated very quickly. Yeah. So. That's basically the entire chapter, but I do want to talk about RWBY really quickly, because they talked about they have a couple new programs they use for crowds in the show. So they have something called Golem, which they put in a bunch of information into this program, and then Golem generates randomized crowds of people. So especially with the Faunus crowds, they input like certain Faunus traits and genders, clothing colors, all of that, and then the program randomizes the crowd and just pops out this crowd of like 10 people that all look different. So I thought that was really interesting and a huge time saver for them. And also they are able to put certain mocap paths onto one character, and then this program will take that, put it on all the other characters in the crowd, and start it at different points. So it looks like they're all moving differently, but they're going through the same animation at different times.
Huh.
Yeah, so I thought that was really clever, and it must save them so much time where crowd generating is concerned.
Yeah, no, the episodes generally look fuller now than they did several months back.
Yeah. Didn't they say that in that shot there were like 300 Faunus?
I think they said they can do up to 300 with the program, but in that particular shot there was about 80 Faunus standing.
Okay, because I remember when they said that in the episode, or in that episode, I was like, no way. There's a lot, but like not 300 a lot.
They said about 80 in that shot, but they can do up to 300 with this program. So, and like, whereas if you look back at Volume 2, when they first started to do actual people in a crowd, they would have had to do all of that by hand. They would have had to put each one in and make them look different, animate them by hand. It would have been a nightmare. It would have taken a lot of time. And now with this program, it just saves them so much time to just go type a bunch of things in. Boom, there's your random crowd. I'll put the mocap on them. There we go. Done. And then
that's why the crowd...
Yeah.
That's why the crowd in Volume 2, at the part with Ironwood presenting the Elysian Knights, like, it was like 10 people.
Yeah. 10 people were standing there. It looked like he was presenting to a very, very half enthusiastic crowd.
Yeah, standing in a big courtyard, like, and there's
semi-interested.
3 people there.
Yeah, they're like kind of interested, but most people are just walking past. Like that kind of affected the mood of the scene.
Yes.
It made the whole display look less impressive.
It did. Yeah, definitely. But with this program, they're able to do larger crowds that look more dynamic and feel more real. And then there's only a couple of ones in the foreground that they actually have to hand animate, like the girl that whispers to the Faunus next to her, and then the other one that was nodding when Ilya was talking. Those kinds of things are done by hand, but then the rest of it is just crowd generation, which is
that's not a whole lot.
So it's good time saver for them. And we want them to have these kinds of time savers because it means they have more time to animate the things that matter. So, like the expressions and the movement and that kind of thing. And you can tell that with these kinds of programs, like I spoke last week about the new physics engine and the what's called Shatter program that they use. So they use a program with when the ship collided with one of the floating islands, all of that rock shatter was generated by a program. And it randomly generates geometry, which they can then track and add smoke or dust to it, and then the physics engine takes over after that. So all of that's done automatically now. They don't have to hand animate any of that. So it saves them a lot of time. And you can tell that everything else is benefiting from these kinds of programs, saving them that time. So yeah, it's good to see.
Oh, that's really cool.
William says that explains why there were so many rabbit faunas. Yeah, so like there were a lot of rabbit faunas, but you know, every single one of them had different colored ears. So yeah.
I think that might have also been a low-key joke on Rooster Teeth's part. It's just like they breed like rabbits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's literally what Piskian said after that.
He thinks it was a subtle bunny's like sex joke. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, most of them are rabbits, but there are other ones there. They just none of them breed as quickly as the rabbit faunas. That's why they're the majority. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty easy joke, but you know, people recognize it, so it works.
Was RWBY the only one not to use a weapon in the food fight? Yes.
Yeah. But she didn't do anything in the food fight.
No, not
She literally did the finishing blow, and it was all semblance, and that was kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
Like, why doesn't she
like,
do that?
Team Juniper
why doesn't she apply what she did there in a fight? Like, come on!
Yeah,
so
like
frustrating.
with the weapon, she just runs. Yeah. I mean, Team Juniper was kind of mostly. When I say Team Juniper, I mean like the girls in Team Juniper were like owning Team RWBY up until RWBY actually did the semblance thing.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, Yang and Blake were both taken down. Yang and Blake were both taken down by Pyrrha, and Weiss was taken down by Nora, and RWBY basically ended it by pulling her semblance on the entire, like, Jean and Ren didn't do a whole lot. They just kind of lost very quickly. But
Jean threw a watermelon.
Yeah, but
Jean
like
was useless.
nonetheless, even with like half the team down, Pyrrha and Nora kind of just wiped 3/4 of Team RWBY, and then RWBY just it's pretty funny.
So I was gonna say something. Oh, RWBY kind of did try to apply that. In Volume 3, thinking about it, when she confronted Mercury in that hallway. But he just kind of kicked her in the face and was like, bitch, please.
Right. He's pretty... Yeah. But, yeah. He's fast, though, so we already knew that.
Yeah.
So.
And I also kind of think that's just, like, sort of the effect her semblance has, the way it kind of spins.
Yeah.
I think that's just, like, I don't think she's necessarily trying to, like, you know... create a vortex to knock him off his feet or anything. I think she was just trying to speed past him.
Right, just makes it faster, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, let's talk about our predictions for Chapter 4. Yang. Please, Yang.
Definitely.
Please, Yang.
Has to be.
I'm not having a repeat of last volume. More Yang. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing her next chapter. I'm pretty sure we won't be seeing Weiss next chapter. Because we've had 3 chapters with Weiss in a row. She's got to go away now.
Yeah, especially because they left us on a good cliffhanger last episode, but they left us on in this one, she's arguably in more peril now, so they're going to leave that up in the air for a while.
This is kind of a slightly off to the side question, but do you think the pilot died in the crash?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, he's fucking dead.
I hope so.
He's dead.
He wasn't the nicest guy, but I don't know if he deserved to die. He was
just looking out for himself and his family.
Yeah.
So, it's
he was a minor character, but you know, I try and care about the characters.
So many people I've seen just love him, and I'm just like, why?
Who?
Tyrion.
Who? Oh, Tyrion?
Yeah.
I
Piskian was
can't
just
stand him. He's
Tyrion's talk with Salem should be in the next chapter. Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it should. I wonder why she sounded so ominous when she said that. She seems to be like she's arranging for him to like get a new tail or something. So I assume it's gonna be about that. But why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does she sound so ominous? Like
I think it has something to do with the fact of when he came back after failing his task last time, you know, she was like, "You disappoint me" and stuff. Yeah. And I feel like, you know, it's basically because he thrives on her approval,
yeah,
she's going to give him none of it.
Yeah, he's absolutely miserable when she's disappointed in him.
So I feel like she was like
individual.
that.
Yeah. I think he was one of the best Volume 4 characters that was introduced.
Yeah.
Like,
he's an awesome
he was just he pops out so much at you, you know? You don't forget him.
No.
Like, I thought some of the other members of Salem's crew were kind of forgettable. Especially, actually, I had to re-look up who Hazel was when I first saw him again in Volume 5, because
they didn't do anything with Hazel last volume. They just they showed him in that Oscar scene just to like kind of be like, remember this guy, but like they didn't do anything with him. Yeah. And then Watts was in the first episode and the last, and that's it.
I remembered him, yeah, but only briefly, and I didn't remember anything distinctive about him. Like Tyrion is, I think, by far aside from Cinder, the most developed member of Salem's Council of Evil People. And it should be interesting.
William says, Tyrion, you're a big fuck up, but I'm going to give you another chance. Don't screw this one up. Yeah, that's about how that's going to go, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
You think she's going to kind of be like Voldemort presenting Peter Pettigrew with the new hand, where she's like, here is something that'll be useful for you. Don't, huh?
Yeah.
I just said spoilers. I haven't even seen Harry Potter, so...
Oh. Well, I don't think you get the right to call spoilers on Harry Potter at this point.
No. At this point, if it's my own fault. I've seen movies like the last 2 and 5, I think. I saw the one with Cedric Diggory in it. I don't know which one that is, but
that's 4.
4. Okay,
yeah.
whatever.
Anyway,
that was back when you were in love with Robert Pattinson, wasn't it?
Listen, I was a teenage girl and in love with Twilight. Leave me alone. Shut up, Deju. Yeah, so what were we talking about?
Tyrion.
That's right. Yeah.
And predictions.
Yeah, so I think that this talk is gonna basically go the way William said it would. So, but that should be in the next chapter. More Yang. Probably no Weiss, but I still wouldn't be surprised if she was there, but please don't, because that'll be a 4th chapter in a row, and we'll be like, yeah, we're Weissed out, let's move on.
Yeah. I hope that if they show us any of Weiss, not even of showing us Weiss, if it's like Yang getting into camp and they show us the empty cage, like she walks by Weiss's empty cage.
That's a good point, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
And then maybe they could even...
Yeah.
You could just not mention that it was Weiss's and see if anyone catches it. You know, not everyone's going to catch it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some people would just be like, it's just a shot of Yang running through the camp, right? Some people might not notice, oh, that's Weiss's cage, you know? So that could be interesting. Because I know they like to do that. They like to put details in where, okay, the answer's there, but only if if you notice it. So, and, the RWBY fan base is notoriously good at picking up on these details way before they're actually revealed.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry, William, I don't pay attention to Harry Potter, what was I gonna say? Yeah, they could do a thing where Yang and Weiss come very close to reuniting and then don't because Weiss escapes the camp, and that's gonna frustrate the fuck out of me if they do that.
Yeah, I made a prediction before this volume started that there would be some sort of shot, and granted it was involving RWBY and Weiss, where they were, walking through Mistral, and, RWBY would walk down an alleyway, and then the camera would focus on Weiss coming up the street or something, and they'd have just missed each other. They're going to do that.
Or they do a shot of one of them, and it just cuts to the other one, or it just pans to the other one running the other way,
Yeah, so it's a definite possibility, and that will piss me off if that happens. Nothing to be done about that.
They do that in storytelling, so.
They do. I mean, since they threw that curveball at us at the end of chapter 2, I'm like, I know nothing about what's going on in this volume. I know nothing. I'm clueless. Clearly. Because I didn't see that coming at all. Yang, maybe Weiss, but not without actually showing Weiss. Like you said, they could just show the empty cage. Whether Yang's going to rock up at the bandit camp next chapter or not, I'm not sure that she will.
I just don't know what else they could do with Yang besides like having her get to the camp.
Yeah.
Like, because what can they show? Like her interacting with nameless shady guy. Like they didn't even give him a name in episode 1, even in the credits. So like, you know, it's like I feel like that's just our next step. Is it'll be her getting to the camp.
Yeah,
and that's probably why we haven't seen her yet. Is because they were like, we have to get through this Weiss stuff first.
Yeah. It's true. And, like, also the intro shows Yang in the camp with Raven, so that's obviously where she's going to spend the majority of her time. So she needs to get there. We're already up to chapter 4, and and there's 10 more after this. Ranger next chapter, I don't know. Probably not. I feel like we're getting Blake next chapter, definitely, as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be very reminiscent of Volume 4's Episode 4, where we're going to get, a lot of Yang, if not entirely Yang, and then maybe just, like, a snippet of, like, and here's, like, a minute of Blake.
Yeah, Blake, Yang, possibly Weiss in passing, yeah.
And then Salem.
With Ranger,
Tyrion.
Salem and Tyrion, yeah. With Ranger, there's not a whole lot more to do there. They've set up what's going to happen with them. Salem, Tyrion, Yang, Blake, maybe Weiss. Sounds like a lot, but this chapter was 18 minutes after having 2 20-something minute chapters. So I feel like next chapter is going to be around the 16-minute mark. If it's an 18-minute one, I'm going to be like... Because the more long chapters they give us, the shorter the short ones are going to feel. That's the problem.
Yeah, and especially also, they're giving 2 more episodes, but like I can't imagine they're gonna take those 2 episodes and then add like an extra hour onto their normal runtime of show, which is the thing that makes me kind of like, I don't like you never go over 3 hours, so like, we're already an hour in. Like,
yeah, we're in dangerous territory. We've had 3 chapters and it's over an hour long, or almost an hour long.
Almost an hour, just under.
Almost an hour, yeah. It's 58 minutes as it stands currently. Roughly 58 minutes, yeah. So, yeah, the problem is they said the average chapter length is 15 minutes, Chozo, but the shortest will be around 12. If we get a 12-minute chapter after having 20 minutes, 18 minutes, that is going to feel like Volume 1, Episode 4 level of short.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna be
even though it's not, Yeah,
even though it's not, obviously that's short. It's
even though it's that's about the length of a Volume 2 episode, a full Volume 2 episode.
Yeah.
So but it would feel short. Yeah.
It will feel really short if we keep getting these extra long chapters. So there's at least one 12-minute chapter in there somewhere, and it's going to feel so short. I don't want a repeat of Menagerie from last volume, thank you, and let's not do that again. I know I keep saying it, but let's not have a repeat of Menagerie, please. That chapter was no good. Especially because Blake was such a screen whore last volume. She just... too much screen time.
Yeah. I forgot to bring this up earlier because I put it at the end of my notes instead of where it should be. Did you in the end credits that like the rodent faunus who was the military dude at Gira's Beach who said after her?
Yeah.
He was named in the credits as Saber Rodentia. Okay. So I'm like, ooh, he's an important character that just only got one. Yeah, he's got a name and that's dangerous.
Yeah. Okay.
That's dangerous. Yeah. Oh boy, more characters.
He must have some more lines at some point. Then we'll probably see him again.
I guess I actually do have to mention this. One of my other least favorite things about RWBY is the vast number of characters they introduce and then just do nothing with. Oh. I feel like there's too many to keep track of.
There's too many to name.
For what's going on, like for how much stuff is going on in the story, which I think the story at this point is fine. I feel like there just doesn't need to be so many characters piled onto every part of the story because like how many characters can you name from Volume 3 that were in the tournament? Like you can kind of remember like there were the music guys and there were the funny like bronze-colored ones, and there was all kinds of stuff, but you don't remember many distinctive things about them, and it's just like, Like,
I mean, Beck and I are crazy, so we can pretty much name all of them.
Yeah. I mean, I spend so much time editing the footage, I become very familiar with every single frame. So,
but you understand that, right? Like for the average viewer, like general people watching it, it's like you don't need that many characters. You know, sometimes like. And if this is going to be another guy, then I hope, like, I'm not going to oppose them introducing new characters. I just hope it's going to be someone who's worth introducing, you know?
Yeah, I think that they learned their lesson after Volume 3 because they introduced all these different people, and people were like, oh my god, I want to see more of Team Punky. Oh my god, I want to see more of Team blah blah blah, Team blah blah blah. And they were just like, crap.
Yeah, even like, Team Coffee has disappeared now, and they were in Volume 2.
Yeah. I thought they were cool. I thought they were a very cool looking team, and I would have liked to see way more of them.
Yeah, so it's kind of thing where I've
handed to them by Mercury and Emerald. Lord. But that's because they chose the wrong people to go forward, and I've always said that should not have been Coco and Yatsuhashi in that fight. That was the wrong combination. Coco, her weapon is useful for fighting Grimm, and that is it. It's not useful against people. It should have been Yatsuhashi and Fox. Is that his name? Fox?
Yeah, Fox.
Yeah.
Fox Alice.
It would have been a good opportunity to show more of the two least developed characters on team too, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
But I feel like they also made that decision because they had to lose. So... But
that's true. Yeah.
It just makes it look like they set themselves up for failure because they chose the wrong people.
I think they also just, like, I mean, they showed that shot of the crowd, like, there was a whole bunch of people wearing, like, velvet, or, cocoa hats and sunglasses. I feel like it was kind of, I feel like it was just kind of, like, they put her forward because they were like, oh, yeah, people like her, you know? People want to see her, so let's put her forward.
Yeah. I mean, the leader doesn't have to go forward. Like, RWBY didn't go forward. She sent Weiss and Yang forward because she knows that she's not as experienced.
Not the strongest,
Yeah, not as experienced as her teammates necessarily. She's got 2 more years of training unaccounted for, so...
And also, she's really only good at killing Grimm. True. Like, even in the first round of the fight, she was still just kind of like, I'm here! And then Weiss was like, I'll deal with this.
You go over there,
Let me handle this. You just... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, like, even with the final move, all RWBY did was launch Blake and Yang at the enemy. So, yeah, RWBY is another character who, she's really great when it comes to Grimm, but even when we saw her fighting Tyrion, she was utterly fucking useless. So, but to be fair, all of them were. But, and Tyrion is quite the formidable foe.
They put up a good fight against them.
They did, yeah. I was kind of annoyed with the way that they handled that, though they were really not a cohesive unit when Tyrion showed up. I mean, they did their best, but at the end of the day, he basically beat Crow, and we know Crow's about us, so what you gonna do? The Tyrion dynamic with Salem and this new table thing should be interesting to see. Are they going to do a teleport now where Watts arrives back at wherever Salem is next chapter? Because I hope they don't do that.
That'd be kind of...
I hope they explain to us how Raven's teleport thing works, because, like, you know...
She just slices open reality and walks wherever she feels like it, because she's Raven and she doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty much the explanation.
Yeah, I'm curious about that as well. Definitely. I'm curious about a lot of
things.
If Yang tries to fight Raven, that's not going to end well.
Yeah, I think...
I don't know why she would fight her.
I think Yang's smart enough not to. I mean...
Yeah.
She knows that Raven was trained at Beacon and was a member of Team Stark and was a huntress at one stage, so I feel like she's not dumb enough to, go in there and display.
You saw how fast Neo ran the other way as soon as Raven showed up. Like, she was out of there. She was that was the first time she looked... She had this, like, big...
Bye, Felicia. I'm out. On her face, like, fuck this.
When she was fighting Yang, like, she was just all, like, toying with Yang, and, like, she had this silly, goofy smile on her face. She was just like, haha, you can't touch me. And then, like, absolutely hands her ass to her. And then as soon as Raven shows up, it's just like, oh, fuck this, I'm out.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she managed to deflect Raven's, like, 3 attacks, and then was like, oh my god, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, Yang should not try and fight Raven. That would be a terrible idea.
I am actually looking forward to seeing Raven fight properly. I still don't give a shit about her character, but I do want to see her in action. That'll be cool. Yeah, Yang and Raven dynamic, I feel like they're setting up some really annoying, like, long-lost mother, stupid arc there, and I'm like, I'm so not around for this. Like, why isn't Ruby going after her sister right now? Yang,
I know, I still kind of understand why she went, though, because, like, you know, she'd been, I mean, as we heard in Volume 2, she had the whole thing with, like, you know, she was looking for her, I mean, she's been looking for her mom since she was yay big, so, like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
William is still convinced that Carly's gonna die. They kill Carly, the fandom riots. Like, seriously, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen, trust me. If anyone dies, it's gonna be Gira or Sun. It's not gonna be Carly.
Oh, I don't think
No, she's too nice.
She's too precious.
She's too... Yeah.
Yeah. They will definitely kill Sun before they ever hurt Carly. Yeah. Easily.
Yeah.
Oh, William tried to name everyone from the tournament. I actually can, but I'm not going to do that because it's kind of embarrassing.
Piskian then went on to name them all.
Yeah. Yeah, you got most of them. Most of them. There were a lot. Like, there was Team Indigo, Team Bronze, you know, all these teams that they introduced specifically for the tournament. And, like, they said from the get-go that Team Indigo was a one-off thing, which is unfortunate because I really like that team.
Well, they were the Indiegogo team, so, you know, it's like, their voice actors are fans, and, like, they'd have to get fans back on. And
fans that did a tremendous job, I have to say. Yeah, so... I think that pretty much wraps up our podcast for this week. I do want to mention that we did do a Weiss breaker, which is available on the VidMe. So if you want to see that, the link will be in the description, and those will be on VidMe exclusively from here on out. Also, be sure to check out RWBY the Abridged series, all 5 episodes of it, before the new one hopefully comes out before the end of the year, Stormy.
Hopefully. Lots and lots of hopefullys in there.
No promises, okay? But can we please get to episode 7 so I can voice act? Like, seriously, it's getting ridiculous.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. So bear with us. The new episodes are coming, eventually. Nobody's going to say when, because, like you said...
It's better that way.
You've made promises before, and it hasn't happened, so...
It's just better that way.
And people yelled at you, so... Yeah, let's just...
People didn't really yell at me.
People are always yelling at you anyway, so... You know, it's great that the Abridged series has such a supportive and understanding fan base, and all of us really appreciate it, so... Yes, I look forward to finally working on the show at some point before I die.
Yeah, it's gonna be... Let's see try not to have kids before I put your name into the credits, alright?
Yeah, try not to have kids.
Like, yeah. I say that jokingly, but I might not also be joking. I mean...
I don't plan on having kids anytime soon. I think you're fine.
Some of my voice actors wouldn't say the same, though.
No, yeah.
That's how long the show's been around. We've been on hiatus so long that some of my voice actors have had kids.
Children, yeah, and they've had to, like, we've had to reschedule things.
Yep.
It's been a nightmare. I've been keeping up with it on the Discord, and it's just a mess to try and coordinate this project. But, you know, we will get there. All of us love doing it. Almost all of us love RWBY. And so we're gonna keep trying to do it the best justice we can as voice actors, as creators, as writers, as directors, as editors, etc., etc., etc.
We all want to see RWBY do well, you know?
No.
We all want to see it succeed. And I think it's really on the right way. It's doing the right things.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's very nice to see, in all honesty. It's nice to abridge a series that you don't hate, because you don't want to hate it, you know?
No, you don't want to hate it. I mean, I can't say that about everybody, but...
True. Some people do, but...
I will say, I've, like, ever since Volume 3, I've seen a lot more people who, like, hate watch the show.
That's a shame. That's when I thought it started getting really good, though.
I know.
That's when I really thought it started showing its potential.
Really interesting. Yeah.
I think people just had the wrong expectations.
Yeah.
I don't see the point in hate watching anything. Like, go watch something you actually enjoy watching. Like, why you gotta be a dick?
Yeah. Yeah. I struggled with Volume 1 and to an extent Volume 2 when it first came out, but I wouldn't say I hated the show. I really wanted to see it become something amazing, and I think it's really taken great strides. Yeah. I think one day it could be outstanding,
By the time we get to Volume 9, it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Volume 62 is going to look great.
Well, do we know how many volumes Monty wanted to do?
Well,
or
10.
Monty had said that he had planned for up to 20 volumes, but Rooster Teeth have said they're going to do at least 9, I think, is the number that they're going with. So,
okay.
And if Volume 5 is the end of the Haven arc, then... and we don't know what's going to happen with Volume 6, like the length of it, how many chapters it's going to be, because they've changed it up this volume. So it's a bit early to say exactly when this is going to end, but I feel like this isn't going to be a red versus blue scenario. I feel like they're going to keep the show going as long as they're doing it justice and as long as the show's maintaining its integrity. So... Yeah.
They'll end it when it's time for it to end. Yeah, it's time to stop.
If people keep watching it, we'll keep making it. They've said that about Red vs. Blue, but Red vs. Blue is the kind of show where they have that freedom. They can just keep making more and more and more, and they can keep changing the story. But with RWBY, because RWBY is not actually their baby, we have to remember, I think they'll keep the show going as long as it maintains its integrity, and as long as...
Yeah, they have to stay true to it. Yeah, like Red vs. Blue is something they can experiment with because they've done it so long. They're like, oh, let's try a season where it's all skits. Let's do a season where it's all, and that's cool. Yeah, but RWBY is like it's a lot more story driven.
Yes.
And it is a lot more character driven. Like Red vs. Blue, they tend to change from season to season, whereas in RWBY, they just kind of move forward.
It's very what's the word? It's very linear. RWBY.
Yeah.
It's got a certain path that it has to follow. Whereas Red vs. Blue...
Not necessarily in a bad way.
No.
Yeah, Red vs. Blue's all over the place. Like, RWBY is like, you see a journey, and... with RWBY, you see a journey, and with Red vs. Blue, it's just, well, here's the next adventure, here's the next adventure. It's almost like a comic books in that sort of sense,
Yeah, William, Monty had up to 20 planned. He said, like, he had up until RWBY in her adult years as a huntress, but they've always said they'll do at least 9. That's always been the thing that Rooster Teeth has said, at least 9 volumes.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I would like to see RWBY grow up and like the characters grow up because the voice actors are, adults, so I can see them eventually using like lower and lower voices as they get older. And that'd be cool because it still sounds like the same character, but you can tell that they're aging. And I bet Lindsay probably doesn't want to squeak her way through the show for 20 volumes, Exactly. She'd probably have like...
It might get a bit tiresome on the old throat after a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even after a little while of doing Weiss's voice, my throat starts to hurt. So I'm like, ugh, I can't imagine how Kara does. But Kara sounds like that normally, and I don't. Like, I really have to put it on. So.
No, Kara does not sound like that normally.
She sounds pretty much like that.
She sounds like just like a slightly lower version of that, but it's much closer than anyone else.
It's true, it is closer, but I don't think she sounds very much like Weiss. There's still the Kara.
Like Weiss, so
that's
I
true,
really have to
true.
put it on. So,
yeah, and like even you notice for Yang's voice, like it's more tomboyish than Barbara's natural speaking voice. Like she puts on more like
she's had to do some very different things with the voice acting for Yang. She's
like they don't just use them voices.
A lot of effort into it. So
like if you compare if you look at how these same voice actors do their voices in RWBY versus Red versus Blue, well, I'll try to say that 5 times. Like Miles voicing Jean versus voicing Felix, or Aaron voicing Blake versus voicing Kimball. not Kimball. She voiced Dr. Gray.
Yeah.
Or Lindsay voicing Kimball versus voicing Ruby. Like, they're all very drastically different.
Yeah.
And neither of those characters are all that similar to the voice actor's natural speaking voice. And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Because they can play with it. You can do different things with the characters and, age them. And that way they don't have to replace the voice actor for, adult Ruby. It can still be Lindsay.
Yeah, exactly. Weiss is a lot of effort. Emerald's a lot of effort too. Because it's... even though it's kind of closer to my own voice, the American accent kills me. It's very hard to do. And, it's hard to... Because, the reason that people have accents and sound the way they do is because of the shape of our soft palate on the top of our mouth. And that gets developed as we grow up and we adopt the accents of those around us.
Yeah.
So, for me to completely change to a different accent requires mental effort. And, it takes its toll after a while. The easiest one to do is Velvet, because she just sounds like me. She's Australian, so, yeah. Show us your socks? What?
His name is Trump Troller.
Uh-huh. Okay, ignoring that.
Yeah.
What if I wasn't wearing any socks? I'm not showing my feet on the internet. I don't want to give foot face.
I'm not showing my feet on the internet ever.
There are people out there who are into that, and I'm not. So, anyway, we got to wrap this podcast up. Oh, thank you for
we really do.
Controller, and I forgot about the Halloween bloody gifs. I still haven't changed them.
It screamed at you.
Anymore. Well, actually, it's still Halloween over there, so fuck it.
It's Halloween here.
Halloween.
I'm actually worried that we're going to start getting trick-or-treaters soon.
Yeah, me too. What if people start ringing the doorbell? Yeah.
Also, if you're wondering why I have Team RWBY hanged on my wardrobe in the background, these guys can't see it. But that's because I did my Halloween stream last night and haven't taken them down yet, so my Team RWBY plushies hanged in the background. Yeah. Raises leg to invisible camera.
That was literally the first thing I asked you when I got on Skype with you earlier today, where I was like, why is Team RWBY hanging behind you?
Yeah. Trump Troller scared the fuck out of me. Good. That's what you get for trying to set the... I have Halloween alerts that go off when I get followed, and there's a scream on it that's quite loud. Deliberately designed to scare me while playing a horror game, but I'm glad that scared you. Sucked in. Thanks for following. Dia de los Muertos, what does that mean? I feel really ignorant right now, but I don't speak Spanish.
Isn't that just Day of the Dead?
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah.
Because Los Muertos is the dead.
Yeah, Muertos means dead. Yeah. Why are you saying it's Dia de los Muertos? I don't know. But happy birthday, RWBY. Oh, yeah, it's RWBY's birthday today. Didn't even mention that. Happy birthday to RWBY. October 31st.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's birthday, huh?
In Chibi, they said that it was October 31st was her birthday. So there you go.
Miles said it was canon.
It's canon,
yeah.
It's canon. It's canon, yeah. Apparently, according to Miles, so... Yeah, it's November 1st for me, so... I can't believe it's November 1st. Holy fuck, where is this year going? Yeah, we gotta
That just made me realize that... That just made me realize then by the end of this season, RWBY will be 17.
That's true.
Because the last full moon of fall.
Yeah, she'll be 17. That's true.
She'll be 17.
Huh.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah, they're aging her. Yeah. There you go.
Interesting. Right, yeah. So we need to wrap up this podcast now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out the Weissbreaker on VidMe. Thank you, Stormy, for joining us. You can go back to making RWBY Abridged now, please. For the love of God. He's in college, guys. Give him a break. He's got more important things to worry about.
Are people roasting me in those comments?
No, they're not. No. They're not roasting you, but I know they've been roasting on the YouTube comments and whatnot, and going, where is the next episode? But it's coming, okay? It's coming. We promise. I
accept any and all criticism.
Boop Chozo says, boop to you too. And thank you for watching. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.